Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting of the Lancaster County Council to order. I ask that the clerk note for the record that a quorum of council is present. That public notice of the meeting, including the meeting agenda, has been posted the required length of time in the lobby of the County Administration Building and on the county website, and that the news media was notified of the meeting time and place. I welcome you to your county council meeting. I would ask that you take a moment to turn off or place on vibrate any phones or pagers. Thank you for not wearing any hats or caps in the council chambers. And please be considerate of others in the room by refraining from conversations during the meeting. I ask that you please stand and join council for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation given this afternoon by Council Member Jose Luis.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful day, for the blessings that we have, for the opportunity to serve our constituents and our county in the best way that we can. Grant us the wisdom to review the documents before us, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Have a motion to approve the agenda submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Luis and a second from Ms. McGriff. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. We don't have any citizens signed up for comments, so we'll go on to item 6A, medical response for Indian Land Fire and EMS services.
Mr.
Marstall.
Mr. Chairman, council members, we have a proposal for your consideration from the Indian Land Fire Department related to their assistance with medical response. So we have Chief Greg Nicholson in the audience to do a presentation today. So we'll invite Chief Nicholson forward.
Good afternoon. Thank y'all for allowing us to come and do this presentation. We're very excited about it, possibly moving towards an EMT system versus an emergency medical first responder system. In the Indian Land Fire Department, we have three instant priorities that we really lean heavily on: is life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. And that goes across the board, whether we're on a fire call, medical call, whatever. And today's presentation will be leaning heavily on the life safety part. Well, as the citizens of Lancaster County and all the visitors to Lancaster County is our number one goal in this county, I would hope. Right now, we are emergency first responders, which is the lowest level of response you can have on the EMS side. As y'all know, we run a tremendous amount. About 80% of our calls is probably EMS in some fashion, including wrecks. And so we are wanting to enhance our ability to provide a little bit better treatment to our patients. Currently, we have about 38 certified, 35 EMTs, and we also, they're National Registry, and we also have 2 paramedics at Certified National Registry. There again, we only right now are medical first responder, and looking at with emergency responder, we're very limited on treatments for life-threatening conditions like anaphylactic, things like that. Limited diagnostic, we can't run like a glucose monitor to check for blood sugar levels, and then limited medications. The only 2 medications we can run at this time is oxygen, which is a medicine, and also Narcan for overdoses. The essential part of this is that the fire department around the United States, about 82% of them run some type of EMS, either a basic EMS or paramedic system in the U.S., which is nationally recognized. So it's nothing new we're trying to do. We're just trying to enhance our ability to the citizens of our district that we can help in a timely manner. Why it's important, right now, we have a 80-second response time. So when dispatch gets the call and it goes through their system and it hits ours, we en route. We should have a truck en route in about 80 seconds. And as of the other week, we had a 5-minute and 47-second arrival time from dispatch to on scene. And you've got to understand that our district is very long, so where we have proposed Station 3, that is a long response, so that curves our dispatch times a little bit, or our response times a little bit. So on most times, we're on scene within 4 minutes. With that, obviously, EMS, we all understand how busy they are, extremely busy in our area. They got as many ambulances as they can get up there, and they stay busy all the time. When we have to call automatic, or they have to call automatic aid from either Union County, Mecklenburg County, York County, wherever it be, we have exceeded 20, 30 minutes wait time on those ambulances to get there because of the transition between dispatches and then getting them en route to us and getting us, which is a huge life-threatening problem if we're on a serious medical call. To illustrate, in 2024, mutual aid come into our district, just in our district, 64 times. And already this year, they've came in 48 times from outside agencies. This does not include if all of the transport ambulances in the Indian Land area are tied up. We're waiting on one to come out of Lancaster. If they have one available, we're still in the 15 to 20-minute range. If you haven't been to Indian Land and seen the traffic, it's going to take a while. So with this going on to the EMS side, we would be able to do a lot of life-threatening EMS work prior to an EMS ambulance getting there, and an ambulance getting there for transport. What we're looking at is just our own DHEC number so we can function on scene prior to an EMS unit getting there. Lancaster County EMS will always be the transport company, and they always have the paramedics on there, which would take over once they get on the scene, and we'd just be there to assist them. What will change? Going to EMT level, it allows us to give advanced airways for when we in people in cardiac arrest. 5 emergency medications like epinephrine, albuterol for trouble breathing, for anaphylactic shocks, things like that. A little bit more diagnostic capabilities, as in taking a BGL or a blood glucose level for people that could possibly having a diabetic problem. Upon approval of this, we'll get our DHEC non-transporting basic life support permit. Entered into an agreement with South Carolina and a physician. I know Mr. Marstall is working on the medical control, how we go on that. The estimated startup cost for this is probably about $43,000, which we already have in our budget for the 25-26 budget. We already have that number in there because we knew we was moving in this direction, hopefully. And ongoing, it really is going to depend on if we have to pay for the medical controller, and then depending on the supplies we use on calls, we're figuring it's going to be an average of about $25,000. If y'all allow us to do this, we will move a paramedic into the EMS side of training, which will keep up with all of our certifications, and also making sure we're on the training does correct, and he will also go through, kind of be our eyes for the reports as when we run calls to make sure we are doing what we're supposed to do. There again, I think y'all have this PowerPoint that you can look through. At that time, I would entertain any questions, but you know, my thing is the number one thing for us is the citizens, and if we can get help there quicker, then I think this is a win-win for us and Lancaster County citizens.
Any questions for Chief Nicholson?
I've got one question. Is this going to go through the current EMS system that we got now, or y'all going to be under them? operating through our current EMS?
We would be on a separate DHEC number. So we would work with them, yes, but we would have our own DHEC number. We have to have our own DHEC number to be able to function. Right now, we fall under EMS's license, but we can't function as an EMT until one of their trucks gets on the scene. And so that doesn't work for us. If we're having an outside company come in or outside transport company, we wouldn't be able to function. So that's why we're looking at this direction.
How does that work with our current setup with the county operating EMS? Are they,
There's a couple conversations that still need to happen. One about the DHEC, the permit separating, but part of that is a medical control director, a medical director. EMS has one now. We haven't had the full conversation. Can we work with the existing medical provider for EMS that would take on, for an additional charge, take on the fire part of things? Or you can have a separate medical director just for Indian Land Fire. But then also thinking about the medicines and who's providing the medicines. Are we ordering them through EMS? Are we ordering them separately for Indian Land Fire? So there's some more conversation to get to this, but we want to make sure we got it out to you to hear what the request is about allowing fire to do enhanced EMS services before EMS gets there.
I'm concerned of chain of command when they roll up and do something. And then when the EMS shows up, EMS is in charge.
Yes, sir.
They're our number one. So
Correct.
they would take control of the scene.
Yes, sir. And so our basic EMTs would be no different than their basic EMTs. The state DHEC sets our levels of training and what we're required to, what we can and cannot do. So our firefighters would be no different than their basic EMTs on the skill levels.
If this does work, it would need to be understood that, they take.
Oh, absolutely. There's absolutely no problem with that. we definitely want them to be the primary.
You got to have
Absolutely.
who's in charge.
Our goal would be for y'all to put 60 ambulances up there and they get on the scene first of every one of them, because obviously they're a higher level of care. But until we can get enough staff up there on EMS, I think this is a win for both us and the citizens. Yes, ma'am.
We're able to do the documentation in place to make sure who takes control at any certain time, because if anything happens, when you point fingers, you want to know who you're pointing them towards. So do we have the proper documentation?
Yes, ma'am. That would be the DHEC would do that. And then the medical control would make sure of, sorry, the thing's ringing in my ear. The medical control would make sure they're the ones that sign off saying we can do what we can do, and to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do.
And are those tracked through 911 when people get on scene and off scene? So meaning if you're on scene first,
Yes.
and EMS shows up with the ambulance, isn't that acknowledged
Yes.
on 911?
Yes, it is. It's recorded and acknowledged in all of our run reports, what times they get there, and most of the time, if it's, just say it's a cardiac arrest, we're going to go in and say, hey, compressions have started, shock 1, shock 2, and until they can get there.
We have separate data reports on each.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I think I'm going to try to say this clearly as I can. Anything that we can do to respond faster and better as a county to life-threatening situations, which is really what we're talking about here.
Yes.
I think everybody's going to be in support of that. My concern is trying to figure out how we can do that efficiently. Because it sounds like we have an existing EMS setup, but now we're going to start from scratch with another another county resource, and then you're going to have two things that are running. Like, how is that? How can we make that efficient to where we're using resources from EMS and fire to support getting there faster and being able to so that's where I'm having trouble is basically going down. And in conjunction, we are adding staff and more resources to the Indian area as well. So I'm trying to make sure that we're not spending money on duplicating on something we're already spending more resources on here. So I don't know. That's kind of where my head is right now anyway.
Chief, my question to you is, you getting them thrown at you, is does Director Cato, does he support that? I'd love to hear what he thought about it.
He's here. You can ask him.
All right. Bring him up.
And Mr. Graham, just for you, we already run the EMS calls as a first responder, so it's not coming out of the ground new. It is, we already on scene run them. We're just trying to have the enhanced ability to do a little bit more while we're on scene.
What first responder program now, though, is under direction of Clay.
Yes.
So this is what some stuff we got to get worked out, and I want to hear what.
Actually, but do clarify. So when you get on scene first,
Yes.
and they're having an incident, there are only a few certain things that your firefighters, no matter if they're EMTs or paramedics, just your basic firefighter one, what is it they can do, and they are doing right now?
Right now, we can administer oxygen, and we can take vitals, and obviously CPR. We carry defib, so we can shock, things like that. Narcan, we can give Narcan if it's an overdose in certain situations. But other than that, it's pretty limited to what we can do.
What kind of specific questions would you like me to answer?
Well,
What are your concerns?
So obviously, the first thing I go to is always legal liability. And I expressed this to both the chief and Mr. Marstall when this was first. I think Mr. Player was in the room too. I always center about, in our business, as in use, we get sued a lot for patient care issues. Most of them are bad. But now we're looking at two separate agencies within the same county, so they would have multiple departments to sue. They would sue them, they would sue the county, the EMS, potentially sue the county, and then everybody that's an EMT would potentially be sued civically. Whether I support it or not, I'm support for anything that's going to better the citizens of the county. If we can control the liabilities, that's where I have the issues. To answer some of your other questions, I think Mr. Harper asked about medicines. If they do become their own separate agency, Lancaster County EMS will not provide them any medical supplies simply because the medicines and the medical supplies have to be bought under a medical license. So they would buy all their medical license under their medical control and their DHEC. So in other words, if we were on the scene, we couldn't share medicines. We couldn't give it to them. They couldn't give it to us, vice versa.
Those would expire.
And every one of them has a nice little date, and this is nothing to me but pharmacies trying to make money. Everything has a date on it. We go through our ambulances once a month, all 23 of them, and we have to make sure everything is in date, which they would then do this.
Who will administer the medicine and make sure that you're complying with whatever?
That would be whoever Chief Nicholson decides is in charge of that.
Will it be a medical person?
A medical person signs off on the skills that they are allowed to do based on what skills the state says. Whoever the medical control says you can do this, this, and this, or you can do it all, then their medical control physician would sign off on what they are allowed to do. And then the department would be responsible for ensuring that everything is in date and following the directives of the medical control.
So here's something that I would like to see just on this list. What can you currently do right now? What would this program allow you to do that's on top of what we can currently do? And then what does the data support in terms of all of those additional services? Are we seeing delays or anything that would increase the return on the investment that we would be doing as a result of this program?
So one of the things, I think you used anaphylactic reaction, Epi 1-to-1. We've given that 16 times in Lancaster County since January 1. 6 of those were in Indian land. One was in August, two was in June, is the last two I can think of. Albuterol, which is something rarely, it's given quite frequently to people who have respiratory distress. I think countywide we've probably given it about 600 times, and it's about 275, I believe, in Indian land. But with every medication, there comes a contrary indication. If you give it, bad things can happen. So you have to understand, if you give this medication, what you can and cannot be looking for.
But in all those 275 times, was there a delay in administering that would have caused a problem, or well, I don't know.
That would take
Don't
us,
answer that question.
Between he and I, we'd have to go back and look at.
Don't answer that question.
If it call, I can't.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, our response time to Indian land is 10 minutes and 1 second since July 1. So from January to July 1, we had almost an 11-minute response time. Since July 1, when we've added the additional staff that you guys approved, we've seen a reduction in that response time. Also keep in mind, in April or May, we've got the Piedmont ER that'll be taking the majority of our patients. So if you live in Sun City and call an ambulance, you're going to have like a 3-minute response time to the hospital versus now one of our problems is when we send ambulances out of the hospital, out of the county, we're at the mercy of those outside hospitals when that wall time is taken and the turnaround time for us to get back. But with the MUSC hospital coming, the new truck in January, and that's going to help a lot. Still won't be 100%, but it will help a lot.
Mr. Chairman, question for everyone involved. The fire fee district, does this fall within the scope of what they're do and don't do? Could that be an issue if they started performing?
I haven't been included in these discussions, so I haven't looked at the ordinance, but I can look at the ordinance and see exactly what it is in there. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Have we looked at any other options that come within your department, Clay, that can alleviate that time concern?
Adding more trucks, adding more staff. The hospitals, again, coming would alleviate it. And also just keep in mind that, and I've already been approached by this from people on the south end, if we're going to do this for Indian land, can we do this on the south end?
Are we having the same problems?
So our response time in the Kershaw, Heath Springs area is actually worse than the Indian land area. Now, we don't run, well, I ran the calls. We've run like 3,600 calls in Indian land since January. We've run 2,300 in those two fire districts alone in EMS calls. So 1,400 call difference, and we have a worse response time in Heath Springs and Kershaw than we do in Indian land, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
So
Yeah, that is something like there's two things that bother me with just in general. Is there any solution, or is there any structural things that, I'm not suggesting we do, but I'm just interested, is there structural changes that we could do within the county that would allow us not have to go down this path where we're having 2 DHEC numbers and 2 medical direct, like how does that, I don't understand why in the same county within what seems to be a close organization, why you have to duplicate things like that.
I can tell you the departments that I've spoke with, Charleston, I know Charlotte, I worked there, Fort Mill, Rock Hill, all of them, they all have their own DHEC number. So they can function the way we're wanting to function. When it falls under the one, they have to be on scene, and that's the hiccups.
So this is pretty much common in other counties?
Yes, ma'am.
We just have not used it here?
Yes,
And with that, I'm sure we've looked at pros and cons with this type of operations, have we?
yes, ma'am. I mean, it all falls back to the certification. As my 38 firefighters that are EMTs went through the exact same training as however many EMTs Clay has. It's the exact same training, a very long training, and I mean, to get certified, no different than the firefighter certification. We have, firefighters that can't go in. We don't, but departments have firefighters that can't go in. They can only drive the trucks, and some that can go in, and that's relied on training and certification.
Yeah. One other question, Mr. Chair. And you talk about startup costs at approximately 43. Is this what it's going to take to make this happen with the training, with the staff? Anyone we need additional, any additional staff that we're going to need?
Yeah, ma'am. All we're doing is asking for the companies that run the medical calls now, for them just to be able to function at a higher level, to really to benefit the citizens. When we do, obviously their response times is going to come down, but there's still going to be areas that we're strategically placed in the district. On the north end, they don't have any ambulances. We don't have a fire truck over there right now, but when we build the station, and obviously we have 4 pieces of apparatus moving. Well, now with the new QRV that started Sunday, we have 5 pieces of apparatus moving that can pick up calls versus the one, how many ambulances, 3, 4 ambulances they have. So.
I did have another question, but I do now with that answer.
Yes, ma'am.
If this is a startup cost and we move forward with this, I'm going to want to see the data on a quarterly basis to see the difference and see what it's doing, yes, and the cost.
Yes, ma'am. The cost won't be an issue. And there again, the cost before, that's not a set number. That's just a number saying that, we talked to a medical controller, medical director, he was $12,000. That's including his insurance. We have an insurance policy through VFIS that covers all of our firefighters up to $1 million for any occurrence on medical or fire. If we make a bad decision or a bad call, we're covered for $1 million in our policy. Also, we'll pay for the physician's insurance. So we're already paying for that.
Have a
so
statement.
that number would absolutely go down. If we go to our own medical controller, we already have his insurance, and he had stated he's fine with that. He's one of the head physicians at MUSC.
I know this is new in Lancaster County, but this is something that happens all over the country every day. It's not something that's coming out of the blue and unexpected. When you get into urbanized areas, you get this, you're going to have these kind of services because there's more firefighters there that are available to go out, and they're already making the calls, and they're on scene first. So giving that extra care, being able to get that care, I would think not being able to give the care puts us in a worse situation as far as somebody wanting to sue us because people are standing there watching a person die. When if they had this service, they could be giving them life-saving care. So, while it's new to us, it's not something new. It's this type of operations is everywhere in urbanized areas across the country. So, Mr. Mosteller.
Yeah, I would like for our county attorney to give us some more in depth, look into this and see where we're going to have any issues anywhere or other on this. Let it get back with us later on that.
To Chairman Carnes' point, in a prior jurisdiction, I dealt with this very issue, so I'm very familiar with the fire departments running medical response and why they do it and how that works.
Okay.
Mr.
So
Luis.
I had 2 things. One, I want to actually add on to Councilwoman Charlene's statement.
Write this down, Charlene.
Yeah, because she basically suggested that we doge this program, and I love that. So I think we should do that across all county departments and across all projects. So I would love to have that. So I support you doging the county. There we go. Doge. Here we go. Across the aisle.
We and Ms. McGriff, to your comment, we do track all the calls that we run, and we track. We would have to track a little bit closer when we move to this because the reports we put in is more detailed when we, if we move to an EMT system, which also can we track like response times when we're on scene first, things like that. And so that would be no problem getting that data.
Okay. And to Mr. Marstall, like, I think we really should start doing that across all departments and across all projects. So that's one of the things that I would like to highlight going forward. And then the second thing that I had is, I think I've heard our county attorney, I think there was a comment last time as well. We need to have our county attorney advised of whatever issues are coming before council before she comes to council, so that if we have questions, she can properly advise us, because I think this has happened on more than one occasion already. So just a heads up on that.
On any given shift, Mr. Cato, how many EMTs do you have in the Indian Land area?
Well, we base them by trucks. So we run a minimum of 3 a day. Today we have 4.
Okay. How many on a given shift, how many EMTs would you have in service?
I would say usually about 12. We run 17 people on a shift, like 24-hour shifts. We have 59 total, and we just had one finish his EMT, and we have multiple. And that's another thing. We have a paramedic on staff that is able to teach through York Deck EMT, and so a lot of it'll be a requirement for all of our firefighters to get certified, but there again, it's a cost, so we hold off to see what your decision is if we can move forward on this. We have several that's already in class trying to obtain it, but and the problem is a lot of the people we brought from other counties on his staff, they're already National Registry EMTs, so getting there, Clay has opened up that we go down there, we send them down there to get recertified. And so if we could do it in-house, would help that I don't have to pay staff to go all the way to headquarters to get trained, and most of the time that's at a time and a half rate. So if we can do it on duty, I just can't send all of my trucks to EMS headquarters and not have the district covered.
So we could, given what you said about the number of EMTs, we could basically put 400% or 500% more EMTs on the road at any point in time in the Indian Land Consolidated Fire Service area, or whenever you answer outside the area as well. So.
And I know for a fact that Mr. Player has mentioned that he has several people that are EMTs, and this might be something that they want to look at, especially if you're having longer extended times in the Kershaw area. The firefighters are there. That this might be a starting point for a lot of them, maybe.
All right, do we have any other questions?
I think just one more, just to verify. Is there any restrictions in our ordinances regarding this? Do we have to change anything?
There is one clarification, how we currently, I think, delineate our EMS department as the provider. It's more about, I don't know if it's related specifically to transport versus other services. So we're going to take a look at that, and with the attorney, we can see if we got to do an adjustment. But that's the one thing that was identified that may need some reclarification, that you can have another service provider, i.e. the fire department, also provide that service.
Got one more question.
Go ahead, Mr. Mosteller.
Just understand, we are not interested in going to a transport type service. That's definitely his job there. We're just looking at enhancing the fire truck.
Clay, I got another question for you. How do you see this working? Would it be best to work it? You're EMS director now of the whole county, and I don't want to overstep what you're doing. Or let nobody else do it. I want your direction for the whole county, because that's your job. And I would like to know, what direction this would take with you. Does this need to come through you, does this need to be a separate entity like they're talking about, or?
So I'm going to kind of flip that on you. I'm going to do what you guys ask me to do. And if you want them to do it, I'm going to support that. If you want me to be over it, I'm going to support that. I work for Mr. Marstall and you guys. So whatever you guys direct, that's what EMS is going to do. But to go ahead and throw some other stuff out there about the other part of the county, the only part of the county that this will work, if passed, is Indian Land. And the simple reason is you have to have, if you're going to do this, you have to have an EMT on the scene 80% of the time of all of your medical calls. So once you get south of the paid fire districts, you're now including all the volunteer fire services and every medical call they run. And at this point in time, there's no way that the county fire and rescue can do this because they don't have enough and wouldn't have enough EMTs to respond 24 hours a day to the massive amount of first responder calls. So this would be out for them at the time. The only other solution to do it countywide, and you didn't hear this from me, you would have to make one public safety department and combine fire and EMS in one department, and then everybody would fall under the same umbrella, and then you would move forward. But that'll get me fired, me crucified, and so hopefully nobody's listening. That is a whole nother discussion, but that's the only other way.
I think that's where I was going with my question, because this to me looks like duplication when it's the same organization, and
it's only going to complement one part of the county. So is it possible that we can be certified in that area and not the?
Yes, because it's a separate fire district and they're their own separate. Just like Van White could do the same thing because they're.
If you do what's required in Indian Land, it's not going to work.
You couldn't. You legally couldn't do it. No.
And I would say this is not a duplication. This is an enhancement of service.
I just want to make sure we do it the right way and we don't have any issues. If that's why I wanted to get Jenny's input from it. Do we need 2 DHEC numbers? Do we need it all to go through you with one number? What are we getting into by getting 2?
Again, that's a decision you guys are going to make.
That's where I'm a little worried about. That's why I want Jenny's input on that and get her to give us some more insight on that. But of having,
it's kind of like Chief said.
I understand. I'm for enhancing our services, but I want to make sure we go about it the right way and it goes. Our director is happy with what's going on because, like I said, at the end of the day, we look at you for our own.
This happens. It does happen across the state of South Carolina. There are many counties that have separate fire departments that run medical calls. And they're normally your bigger ones. Charleston County, Horry County is actually a fire and EMS one department for the entire county. Richland County used to be separate, but they decided to give up their EMT license, so they went back to the EMR license. Lexington County has this. So this is not some new concept. It is proven, it is working. There's no legal issues for them having their own versus us having our own. It's just how do you want the county run? And it would be 2 separate licenses. They would be their own EMS department, and we would be our own EMS department. We would be the transport. They would be the non-transport. They would buy their own medical supplies. They would have their own medical control. They would write their own standing orders, where we would just operate under the ones that we currently already have.
Mr. Chair, could we, before we move forward, any sort of decision, get some legal background and some information on having this done in different parts of the county? And
we don't need different parts of the county.
If
Just
it's
up there,
going to work in Indian Land,
yeah,
and what we can do in the south part to do, we can implement it throughout.
Well, I think Mr. Cato's already answered that question.
Yeah.
There's not enough EMTs south of
And we're
Indian
gonna
Land
decide
Consolidated District to do this.
On what parts we need to work in. I guess that's what I'm saying. Where the boundaries.
Over time, as we go, evolve our firefighting service as we've been talking about. There may come a day when we could do that, but from what Mr. Cato has said now, we're not at that point right now.
And if you think back in the history of this county, the very first fire department to do something like this was the city of Lancaster. So back in, I think it was the mid-90s, the city fire department had EMTs, and they operated an EMT response engine. It was under Lancaster County EMS. They, for whatever reason, I think Cotton Cole was the chief at the time, and he gave that up. But that'd be another area that the county could do it. Indian Land and the city of Lancaster could do it, but the rest of the volunteer fire departments, I love them and I wish they could, but you can't meet that 80% rule.
Ms. Merck DuPont, you've heard your marching orders.
I have lots of thoughts just listening to what all's been said, and then, like I said, having some experience doing this, so I think I can work with them and help council to understand some of the questions you're asking about other parts of the county, how you could make this work, because there are ways with the DHEC number. The DHEC number actually goes to the fire department itself, not the district. So there are ways that it could work where you could have, as Director Clayto is saying, under him, the EMT rollout, and then the rest of it under the chief. There are ways to structure it. It's just, it's a lot to look at, but it can be done, and there's some things that I can provide to help them legally how we can work it. Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item 6B, review of full unified development ordinance.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a few comments before we start this?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
My history with the UDO goes back to the 1990s. I was on the Joint Planning Commission when there were 17 of us, and the UDO was written by the Joint Planning Commission, a lot of stakeholders, and I think representatives from County Council. I sit here now, I'm looking at a document that's 750 pages. Even though they say that 200 pages will be taken out if you condense everything, there's still no illustration, so that's going to add another 200 back in. That makes this document probably 200 pages more than our previous document. This document, to be quite honest, does not work in real situations. You know, we sit here and I feel like, you know, we have instructed staff of certain things that won't work, and I feel like we haven't been heard. And at this point, my recommendation, if you would go along with it, instead of sitting here, because I've reviewed several chapters. My sister's a civil engineer, a PE, and doing this, and I had a developer to review the first 4 chapters. We can sit here at 7 o'clock tonight and we can go through the first 2. It's got a lot of issues. I would like for us to all be on the same page. I would ask that you appoint a ad hoc committee, and I would ask that I be on it, and I would ask for Mr. Louise and Mr. Graham to work in conjunction with several members from the Planning Commission and community stakeholders, whoever, maybe a developer and or 2, and you know, and the public from maybe the Panhandle, because that's where the real change is being pushed, and I just think that we do have time now. You've got a moratorium, so there is 9 months at least to finish this up and get it right. But that's my opinion, and I would like, if council says no, I'm going in the wrong direction. I'll go along with whatever council says, and we can start reviewing. But that's my comment.
Sorry.
First, before we start any discussion, we need to ask Ms. Merck DuPont if that is an avenue that we can go down.
Well, you do have this as a discussion and action item, so if you want to take some action like that to Councilman Harper's request to appoint an ad hoc, you could do that today.
Okay.
You just can't make any motions on the actual document or anything today, but you could take other actions related to it.
I would like to hear everybody else's opinion.
And we could add people outside of council members on the committee as well.
You can on an ad hoc committee. It can include citizens or whoever else you want.
Okay. All right, now we're open to discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Ms. McGriff.
I don't have a problem with Steve's suggestion. As he said, most of this is going to affect the Indian Land area. And Stuart and my friend here is from Indian Land, and he'll get to use some of that real estate knowledge. And,
My name is Jose.
You know, so I don't have a problem because I think I've gone through this, and my brain is not consuming it like I would hope, because I'm not used to all of this. The PDD part I understood because we deal with that a whole lot. But I think it's a good idea because whatever problems we're having, if we got council ad hoc committee looking at it, it's going to help us to see what we need to see, especially a combination of the planning commission, developers, and other key stakeholders that we need at the table. And we've got months to work on it. And I would feel much comfortable with the recommendation coming from the ad hoc committee than me with my knowledge of what I'm looking at.
Any other comments?
I agree with Steve's proposal. I think this would help us. We got a document, but if we can get a group like this to go to the ad hoc committee to go through and fine tune it, and like I said, we do have time, and we can get this done within the 9 months, and I think it would work out real well instead of us sitting here trying to go through this page by page and taking forever. And I think me personally getting some developers in on it too, looking at it in their eyes of what they're having to look at and do, and I would like their input in on that also. That would be a big help. So,
You have other comments? I especially would like comments from Mr. Graham and Mr. Luis, that you are expected to be on the committee.
I appreciate that, and I agree with Mr. Harper. I think as I was reviewing this document, I got very frustrated very quickly. Things and comments that I had made have not been incorporated. I don't think that it is answering a lot of the questions that council, as I recall, had provided in some of the suggestions and recommendations. I think it is rather voluminous. And as a lawyer, or non-practicing lawyer, just to be clear, I think it's very hard for a layperson to be reviewing this document and to understand it. I think it needs a lot more simplification. It needs to be a lot more user-friendly and able to be widely disseminated and people to understand it easily and clearly. So I fully support Mr. Harper's suggestion.
Mr. Graham?
It makes sense. I don't know how this body could work through this document without, us sitting here going through these pages and come up with something that makes sense. So I think it's a lot more efficient and will be more effective. The only thing that I would caution is it feels like we have 9 months, but I think we need to move with some sense of purpose on this, because in my first year, my experience of us getting into the budget cycle, that's going to be problematic if we don't have this thing pretty much buttoned up before the budget cycle starts. That
When the strawberry season starts.
exactly. Well, maybe that has something to do with it too. But the winter is a great time.
Before February.
Well, you have any comments, Mr. Neal?
No, I agree. I think it'd be a good committee. I would like to see a citizen or two from the Panhandle be on the committee.
All right. Okay. This is my comments. I have no problem appointing ad hoc committee. I would like to, if we're going to appoint an ad hoc committee, we need to identify everybody that's going to be on the committee. We can agree that we're going to do one. As soon as we do that, we'll set up the committee, and my charge would be that you have 3 to 4 months to review this and come back to full council with your recommendation.
I would request, you do have a new chair lady and vice chair on the planning commission, and I know she, was it Shelley? She is a PE. I would hope her and the vice chair, she's from the Panhandle, correct?
Correct.
At least 2 and maybe 3, whatever they wanted, whatever y'all would appoint. And then I would like one developer and whatever citizen or 2 with, preferably with somebody that has some legal background or or something.
It's a practicing attorney and not a non-practicing attorney.
Not practicing.
Okay.
Over 10 years, clean.
The other comment I would make is we have experience over the last few months that interpretations of trying to interpret a document like this gets very muddy very quickly. The more clarity that we can have and the less guesswork that we can have coming out of this, the better off we're going to be as a county. And it'll keep us out of a lot of trouble. So that would be my other charge, is for you to look at that and make sure that what we've got is a document that maybe not that I can understand 100% fully, because I'll be the first one to say that, I'm not in this realm. I've never been in this realm, and I don't have a desire to be in this realm. I'm getting too old for that kind of stuff. So, so from that standpoint, I agree that we need to have an ad hoc committee. If we can identify the people before the next council meeting, we will appoint them at the next council meeting, give them their charge, and let them go.
So can I pass all my questions to you, Steve?
Yes, ma'am, that's what.
You're closer to
that's what you
Jose.
need to do.
She first came to me, and then I told her to go to Steve.
Because we all want to be on the same page.
Probably need to get.
Yes.
I know that,
Steve, one check
our
with the developer
representatives
that
in
would
the
agree to
upper
be
part
on
of the
it.
county are
I'll let
Your
Steve
point.
work with that.
really under a lot of pressure.
I wanted to ask him if he can chat with somebody.
Thank you, Mr. Harper.
Do we have to have people from the county on here? Could we appoint somebody outside the county?
So what you have in your rules of procedure is that you may appoint ad hoc committees composed of council members, combination of council members and citizens, or citizen members. So it does say citizens in the ad hoc.
Okay, so it needs to be somebody within the county. Okay. All right. Okay, since we have made that discussion, what's the feeling of council moving forward with discussions today? If you don't want to move forward, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion from Mr. Luis and a second from Mr. Mosteller to adjourn. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. We stand at adjourn.